All right, so today we are taking a break from the Classify reviews to review this project by Asa, a mixtape that was released in May of this year that I never got to releasing, but here I am now. Um, it's the project Burning Dusk tapes, which he released not too long after his first couple of singles, notably his freestyles, Yeah Freestyle and Freestyle Freestyle, gaining a lot of attention and praise for the skillful freestyling done on these tracks. Now, naturally, he drops a project not too long after to kind of ride on that success, but it does seem to be looking at the streams that they didn't really translate onto it all too well. But hey, what can you do? Now, this thing is 6 tracks long. I believe it's just under like 20 minutes. And it has two features, one from Classify and one from Box. We'll get into those later. It starts off with the track Medium Rare, which is a pretty solid start with a bunch of samples and where he's just talking about, stuff like how he likes his steak medium rare and goes on with some more food bars and stuff like that. Pretty solid track, but nothing crazy. Although it is interesting to see him yeah. Next, there's Even Richer Flex, which I think is actually a great showcase of his rapping capability, as he really goes off on this track with the number and like school wordplay, especially. It's very, very solid. Next, after that, we get another great track with AISIG featuring Classify. Although I would argue it's not quite as great as the last two. It's a decent track with a decent hook, and it's got a decent feature from Classify. Although I do feel like it doesn't fit all too well in the track. But, Classify is doing a Classify thing. I mean, how can he do something and have it be very bad? It's always going to be pretty good. And it stays pretty decent. And honestly, one of the best tracks on the album, next, being Groomin' at 444, featuring Box, with great verses from both of them. They both go and flow with each other very well. And it's a very, very solid track. Now, if you were to keep this up for the next couple of tracks, this would be a pretty solid mixtape, but honestly, what kind of brings it down is the fact that you only really get 4 tracks of stuff like this, and it kind of starts to lose direction at so much, which is kind of a solid track, but it doesn't really feel like it fits in all that well with everything else. And it seems like he was trying to almost on purpose switch things up a little bit, even though it didn't really make sense for him to do so. And then the last track, Recording One, seems like it's just him trying to get a final track in. And I mean, it's barely even like a song. So I guess you could say it's kind of a freestyle, but it's kind of got a few verses that are actually pretty decent. If he just would have made this a actual track. What the freak am I hearing? Actual track, then, I think it would have been pretty solid. But I think the fact that it's only 6 tracks and kind of completely loses direction at the fifth one, and the 4 tracks there are pretty decent. A couple of them are really solid. A couple of them are decent. and then I don't even know what I'm saying. It's definitely okay. I would say it's a good first mixtape, but there definitely does leave there some to be desired, and yeah, and I'm giving it a 6. Yep, that's bye.